Okay guys, welcome back. So I was out here in the garden. I was working on amending it and like adding my poop milkshakes and my wood chips and everything, and I've been tilling it, and it dawned on me like it still drains because it's sand. And I wanted to show you all this. This is my garden. It got a hole here and it goes down about 4.5 feet. And I got about 8 inches worth of soil, and then it's a septic field, sand, all the way to the center of the earth. And my thought process here is that the water gets in the garden, it's not able to hold it yet, and then once it hits the sand, the water is gone. Once the water's gone, Florida heat kicks in, dries it out. Now I have hydrophobic soil. And then it takes even less water. So my thought process today, I had this little epiphany of like, can I make the top 8 inches hold water? So what I did is I took some of my poop milkshake here and I dumped it on the ground in a low spot, okay? And I noticed that it seals. It creates almost like a clay pond liner. And then my thought was, could I put this 8 inches down under the garden soil here to have it slow the water down between the garden soil and the sand? So we're gonna do an experiment, and I really want y'all's opinion because I know enough to think this will work, but I don't know enough to be like, yeah, you're about to jack something up real good. So come on, play along with me. Okay guys, the idea here is that sandy soil sucks. And we're gonna try to make our sandy soil crappy, which will be 10 times better. So hear me out. You got your top layer where the rain and the sprinkler hits. I have about 8 inches worth of good soil, and then garbage. When the rain comes down, the water flows through my good soil relatively slowly compared to the sand, but then it hits the sand and the sand sucks. It literally sucks the water straight down. And then this is left having not gotten completely wet, and the water's gone. Then the Florida sun hits it, dries this out, and this becomes hydrophobic. And once soil becomes hydrophobic, you got to start all over again with trying to get the water. And I think that when the soil becomes hydrophobic, especially with sandy soils, it builds up on the surface. Hydrophobic soil, it doesn't want to soak it in. All gardeners have been there, right? Like, why isn't my water going into the dirt? It's hydrophobic. I think that especially with sandy soils, once one spot is able to break the hydrophobic layer and soak water, what it does is creates a funnel. This is my theory, okay? And then all the water, sandy soil can soak up so much water that then all this water just goes down. That leaves the garden soil dry, except for one area. And then once it gets to the sand, it just goes straight to the center of the earth. My idea here to turn sandy soil into crappy soil is add crap as a barrier here, okay? And I think my thought process here is that this may work by clogging the pores. So if you watch the other videos, I use the cow manure, I add water, I turn it into the poop slushy, right? My thought is to add a layer of poop slushy that is thick enough that it clogs the sand pores here. By clogging the sand pores here, if the water tries to go through the garden soil, it hits this layer. It's not gonna be like plastic. I don't wanna bury plastic under my garden, but it hits this layer, and this layer will hold the water long enough that the water can then travel along it, and then through the capillary action, go back up into the garden soil
to get it wet. And over time, a couple hours, the water will seep through. It's not plastic again. But during that time, I can actually get the soil wet. with sandy soil, getting the soil wet is a hard ask, and keeping it wet is an even harder ask, especially in Florida, because in this picture the sun is out and it just bakes it. So anything that doesn't get baked off gets sucked to the center of the earth, and then you got dry garden soil. Thought is, put something there so the water can get away from the sun, but not away from the garden. So we're gonna do a science experiment here, high school status. Y'all ready? I've got a cup here. I've got soil from my yard, and we're gonna see how fast water goes through it, and then see if I can do a poop layer that stops the water temporarily. So what I've got is I have half a cup of poop milkshake and half a cup of water. And I have put my garden soil in here, and I've ran it through water once just so it can get compacted and everything. I have a coffee filter in the bottom. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna add half a cup of water and see how long it takes to penetrate through the sand. So I think that took considerably more time for the milkshake to drain. But it's not about the first time, it's about what it does throughout the months of the garden. And so now we're gonna add a half a cup of water to this mixture. I'm gonna try to not disrupt the layer, but get this in. And so now this is gonna be our half a cup of water with no milkshake deposit versus half a cup of water with milkshake deposit, and we're gonna time that to see where it comes out. Hopefully it all fits. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, so you've seen what I've seen. The water retention theory seems to hold water. But what am I missing? Is it going to hold too much water? Is it going to change the pH? Will it rot roots out further down? I don't know. What I do know is to implement this even on a small scale means my shovel has to get a big workout. And I don't want to do that if it's going to mess it up. So guys, if you've watched this video this far, positive, negative, I don't care about experience. I want all the feedback I can before I tackle this thing. I'm not looking forward to it. But if y'all could help me, leave a comment. Like, go for it or proceed with caution. I don't know. If y'all can tell me, I'd appreciate it. Super appreciate it. Thank you.